Awesome. So I'm really excited. We have another episode of Becoming Cosmically You podcast. And today we have Sanal with us, who's sitting right next to the beach in Thailand. Okay. So he's got the most beautiful surroundings around him and he's got a lovely smile on his face. So, surroundings and environment are everything, right, Sanal?
I know. It just adds so much value, when you just can see nature and movement instead of closed walls, because um, it just kind of feels like nothing is changing when you're always in like in a closed walls sort of scenario. And when you're in nature, you can kind of see no moment is the same and everything is changing at all times, and you kind of embrace that everything is changing
Mm,
and it's just
yeah.
natural, and not so we don't tend to become so much more attached to or resistant to change, so to speak.
Mm.
You know, yeah,
I agree. Yeah, nature always reminds me how beautiful change is as well, because here in the UK we have four different
I
seasons,
know.
and everyone moans about the weather in the UK, but I absolutely love the fact that we go from season to season and there's always something new. I love that. I love all the
I know.
seasons the same. I don't particularly love the rain so much because you can't do much here in the rain, but I love the change and I love
And
nature.
also the weather in UK is just so unpredictable, makes us realize uh, how non-linear, the nature of life is, how we cannot just have like a very like fixed plan. We kind of have to work with so many different things and the weather and everything has to kind of go together.
Oh yeah. So that's a
Yeah.
beautiful point because I always say like I have zero rules in my life. I have two children, and when you have children you have to have almost zero rules because they need the breadth and the width and the space to just be themselves, right? And I think if we come in with rules around children, they're like, that's not how it's
I
gonna
know.
be. Have
I
you
know.
have you
I
got a family and children? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a 3-year-old and I'm expecting another in 4 months.
Oh
So
wow.
even my 3-year-old, ever since he learned certain words and started gaining more individuality, how he asserts himself, like, states his boundaries and like no, and like we really
Yeah.
like, it's just you can kind of see how change change is kind of so so evident in our face, especially with babies and children, because they're more like in that place where they are very sponge like, very much ready to adapt and it's very curious. Something
Mm,
that we kind of tend to lose, as we become adults.
mm,
Not lose that sense of curiosity with life, and tend to become more closed off and make premature conclusions. Yeah, oh, it doesn't work. And so rather than, oh, how do I make it work? What can I do to make this work? And be really curious about that. And just, yeah, something that we can all kind of bring back to ourselves, a sense of curiosity.
I love that. Yeah. I always say that my children are my greatest teachers, because they teach me so much about having fun in the purest sense and how to connect with that joy. Children don't ever think I'm not going to get that way or I'm not going to get that thing. They just know. They know they're
I
going to
know.
get it, right? They don't always actually get it because obviously we have to have boundaries as well as kids, as
I
adults and
know.
kids.
I
Um,
know. It's just like I think it's just a whole journey for both of us as parents and also as children, and we are
mm,
both can see. aspects of our parents, and everything kind of showing up, and we kind of maybe we didn't like that when we
Mm,
were we were at the fact with it,
yeah.
and now you can do that because you're on that authority role, and but you still like, okay, you wanna work on yourself and change those aspects also, not just, of course, you can kind of carry on with it, but yeah, it just makes you really look within, in your personalities, the things that we hereditary acquire from our parents as coping mechanism
Mm.
for their insecurities and things like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Children definitely have this beautiful, unique way of like cracking you open in all the ways, right? And being a
Uh,
mirror to you and call I mean, I've got a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, so mine are a little bit further older than yours, but my 6-year-old will just call anyone out on their bullshit. Like she doesn't care. Like if she doesn't feel aligned to what she's hearing or seeing, she will tell people and she will tell complete strangers as well. She doesn't mince her words, and I just think it's so beautiful that we're given this opportunity to bring these people in, these beings who have chosen us in this lifetime, right? To be and crack open this world in such a magnificent way. And I just find parenthood absolutely fascinating and triggering and expansive and all the things.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, we as adults have a lot more challenges, right? I mean, if for children, everything is just kind of a one big thing, one big chunk. But whereas we as adults, as we grow, we have to see, we have to departmentalize, compartmentalize different areas of relationship, work. This is my, leisure time. That's my thing. We have to kind of put it all, and then we need to have different masks to match those contexts and things the situation demands from us to be able to participate in those contexts, right? Like if you
Mm,
are going to a parent teacher association, then you probably have to be a different version of yourself as opposed to the version of you that you can be when you are just with your close friends, for example.
mm. I would say that I've got to a stage now. I show up exactly the same as I am. The only thing I filter around usually is when my team are channeling to be, because sometimes they swear and they curse, and so I have to be a bit mindful around that. Going into school and cursing. But I would say I
Uh,
just show up as I am because I think the this work here is just about dissolving those masks and those identities, right, and realizing that deep down we are just souls experiencing. We are not what people have told us we are. So I always just show up as I am, and if people can't accept that, then that's kind of on them.
Yeah, I was speaking from this perspective, like our identities are more like getting created, getting co-created with what is happening with the moment, with the situation. So if certain something happens differently, our identity, that particular identity that is there, that just dissolves, and a new identity, it transforms to a new identity emerge as a co-creation with that. So I kind of see this is my perspective. I don't claim it to be the truth or the true version or something. Just like a model, I would say. I kind of see, even though I say I'm Sanal, I don't really believe that I'm that. I do believe it is a mixture of a lot of Sanals
Mm.
in it. But for, of course, when you're in a social context, for the ease of communication, I'm always going to be speaking myself as Sanal.
Yeah,
But
that makes
just
sense.
the knowing that we are more than the name, more than what we say, what we
Mm.
describe ourselves to be, you know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's difficult to actually describe what we are, right? Because we are limitless in capability and
I know,
capacity, and so sometimes I find even my name limiting. I'm like, yeah, that's what
I
people call me
know,
here. But
I know. I know, but we always ask these kind of questions as if it's just so simple, like who are you and what do you do? And these questions can also be so confusing because people often confuse their identity with their uh, with what they do. Like
mm,
I would be if someone is asking, "Hey, who are you?" I can tell I'm a spiritual mentor, and then that's actually what I do, you know.
mm,
Uh, but it's not who I am. No,
mm.
but we often tend to confuse these kind of things like who I am and what I do. They all kind of tend to get mixed up together.
Yeah, totally,
And
they
that
do.
limits us. Yeah, and that limits us from being in many different ways because we are stuck in that particular identity. Oh, I am this me, so I cannot be that fun or playful, just is, crazy going Lucy, just like, you can get stuck in this identities that can limit us. Whatever we say I am, it just immediately, neurologically is kind of like equal to. So we get
Mm,
immediately kind of confined by that very thing. So
yeah.
you're right, just even saying the name, sometimes it is limiting. So that's why I said I tend to keep that acknowledgement in my back of my head that I am more than what I describe I am.
Mm, yeah, exactly. I mean, if I use the word I am, I would just say I am everything or I am limitless because how can you possibly be one thing and not another? I think the other thing as well, my team were just saying, is like moving out of expectation for others. We see this a lot in the 3D world, right? We're constantly, as a collective, in a 3D perspective, usually doing things for other people that don't align with us. And one of the messages that we always like to share is that it's always about what works for you and your heart space and accepting that this is your journey and not anybody else's. And you're just bringing people on for the ride. And what a beautiful ride it is right now, right? How blessed we are to be in this timeline. I mean, I don't know what you're experiencing in your timelines to know, but the growth and the transformation and the stories coming through are just
For me,
incredible.
yeah, for me, astrologically, I am in my Jupiter Mahadasha. So it is like a and my I have Jupiter in my first house. So it's kind of like a period for me of spiritual expansion. So I
Mm,
have my sun kind of expanding, and it's kind of a really nice time. I've been kind of going through so many uh, pathways that I never thought I would actually. So
mm.
it's been interesting.
That's beautiful. And what are some of the work and projects that you're working on right now to help humanity?
Right now, I am giving talks here in uh, in Thailand. I'm giving free talks here every week. But apart from that, I'm developing my brand, Spiritual Logic. So basically, it is a, a set of ideas that are free of dogmas, so that we are no more in the age of Pisces, so we are in the age of Aquarius, and it's more about knowing more than believing.
Mm,
And religions flourished in this time of believing, at the age of believing, and now we are transitioning from it. So I think I'm creating a non-dogmatic path so that people of all religions, of all beliefs, can come in and take in something that doesn't uh, demand them to really take a massive leap of new set of beliefs to work, make this work in their life. So that was one of the basic uh, point when I was kind of creating it. And another one was that practice. because usually most of the spiritual paths, you have to kind of like stick with it for quite some time to actually start to reap real rewards from it. Whether it's meditation, mindfulness, most of these practices, it comes with at least some time of you actually sticking with it. And usually, if you really look at the statistics, many of the people who often take up these practices, they stop it in a week because they don't really see that kind of fast results, enough results to motivate them to keep going. So
Mm,
I kind of realized like we need something that doesn't require so much practice to make it work. Something that we can leverage, something that we are already good at, stuff like that, you know.
mm,
Instead of having to develop a new set of skill in order to make something work, to leverage some already existing skill set that we already have, just we are just not using it in an efficient way so that we can just make tweaks around it and and can feel immediate changes, in a really fast way. So that was kind of what motivated me. And then I started teaching in universities in India, and I started going around in so many different universities. So I would be spending a week in a university, maybe spending time with 4 or 5 different batches of students, each with 100 students or so on average. So I spent quite like maybe 10 hours with each batch. So I would go on to different universities and I started teaching this stuff. And I started seeing it was kind of profoundly useful, even if it was all sunk down, all was kind of condensed and given it in like a very streamlined, fast pace. Even then, it was useful. So I started kind of teaching this with the real people who were struggling with different things, like physical issues, with a lot of physical pain, a lot of mental issues. So then I was like, okay, it's time to really take it out. And I put a name for it, called it spiritual logic. And that's how it began. And now I'm actually in the process of doing a TEDx talk on it. So I got an invitation from Austin University. So by fall this year, September or something, I might possibly be coming to US for that.
nice. Well done. Sounds like you've been busy traveling. And how would you say like spirituality is different in different countries? Do you experience like different people looking at different things? Or I imagine India's quite a spiritual country
Yeah,
anyway, right?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, spirituality at this point, looking at from all sort of different religions and from its point of view, what I understand that is it acts like a map for us to navigate through
Mm,
this life, this complexity that we are all born into, you know.
mm-hmm,
So, and some of these maps are more useful than others, and all maps are useful in some places. They serve better. And so, but you need to understand that we are working with a map and not mistake the map for the territory, not think that this is the whole truth and the only truth, and you get stuck with it, these ideas
mm,
that we are getting. So that's what I understand. So that's what we need to kind of cultivate this idea that this is kind of like a map, and the map is not the territory, and we can always enrich and transform the map, and consciously we get to do that. And that's something that is always within our choice, within our power to do. And if we
mm,
only see that as a map, we get to do that. If we start mistaking it for the territory, we are not going to even look for anything else. We are going to be closed off to everything else other than how we see it, you know.
mm,
So we are gonna be stuck in that how I see is how it is, rather than realizing how I see is just that, how I see.
mm,
Don't get wedded to the perception, you know.
mm.
The
Oh
way
yeah.
the map is, yeah. So it's just like for me, it's to see how useful those maps are at this point, because some people I know, you are familiar with the concept of karma, right?
Pardon, sorry?
Are you familiar with the concept of karma?
Karma.
In
Yes, sorry, yeah.
Okay. So for example, some people, their life is going really good, everything is going fine. For them, karma is a good concept, you know, because then they think, okay, so I'm reaping the rewards of what I have already done. So that means, things are good. So for them, karma is a good concept. It serves
Mm,
them fine. But let's just say someone is really struggling, some big accidents happen, some huge, someone's passing away, and suddenly karma is not very useful, or some big life challenges are showing up, and karma is not very useful. You can, because it depends on the person. It can be completely not useful and can keep a person in a stuck place, thinking that they have done something terribly bad and they don't know. And they just are going into the belief like, oh yeah, I deserve this. That's why I'm
mm,
having it, because that's the concept of karma. You reap what you sow. So
mm,
so it's so that's what I'm saying. Or for example, someone else could completely be having karma not at all in their map and be thinking in terms of randomness, thinking of something random happen. You know, never underestimate the power of randomness as a force in the universe,
mm,
because of course random things happen. But if you start to make connection, we are always going to fall for the karma thing.
mm,
We are like, oh yeah, no, no, everything is connected. Oh, it's karmic, it's karma. Oh yeah, this happened because of so and so, and we make up stories.
mm,
And these stories are not going to help you either, because the stories, unless you are stepping out of the feeling, those stories are not helping. If you are just keeping yourself stuck in that place, then that story is not helping. So you know whether the story is helpful or not based on how easily you are able to move on through the states, because the actual time period for an emotion to exist, neurologically speaking, is 10 to 30 seconds. So unless you do something to recreate the feeling or something similar to it by through conscious participation. So let's just say you're feeling anxiety, and as soon as you start to feel that anxiety, you are thinking, oh, oh, I don't like this feeling. And now the new feeling can already begin, because our left brain is like the language center, speaking, and the thinking center. There's the right brain seat of emotion. So as soon as you start feeling the emotion, the left brain start thinking, and then a whole new thing begin.
mm.
That's the
Yeah.
process.
That thing about stories and perception is really powerful. And the thing is, when you've been through a lot of trauma, you get to the stage where you have to be absolutely thankful for it all. I say you have to be thankful for the good, the bad, and the downright ugly, because if you're not able to shift your perception into anything new anyway. Because, like you said, you'll just get stuck in that pattern of, why is this happening to me? This is bad karma. But in reality, all the bad things that happen are just life lessons for you to grow through. They're not bad. It just, the universe is always working for you, not against you. And I think if anyone could just, if I could implant anything into people's minds, it would probably be that. Just be thankful for it all because it's there to teach. It's not there
No,
to rob you from anything. It's there to
the
give you a
thing is,
lesson.
as soon as this kind of situations happen, they kind of go into remembered pain. That's how trauma works. They go into all the memories that they have related that felt similar or worse, you know. So they remember all the pain, and also they anticipate it into the future also. So that's how they get stuck into the in the now with the feeling. So it is really about, like you said, also about acknowledging the fact that whatever happens, okay, really being grounded in that, understanding that whatever happens, no matter what, I'm okay,
Mm,
you know,
yeah.
because
And
there is no really
yeah,
guarantee.
I always say like everything is perfect. I am perfect and it's all working out perfectly. Even if and even when things don't look that way in your reality, because if you are able to shift that perception, you can move through things really, really fast and quickly, and you don't have to stick in that pattern of the same thing. Feeling sorry for
Yeah.
yourself, feeling stuck in that energy, that feels really crappy. Like, just move your body, right? Move through it, take action. Action is the quickest way of getting through any kind of doubt or fear or procrastination, even if it's not perfect. Just do it anyway. I always tell my clients the same thing. Just get the fuck on with it. just just get on
The
with it.
you know the problem is that most of the time action is always happening in the present, right? Like when you can, or the only place where you can take an action is in the present, in the now. But most of the times we procrastinate and postpone it into an activity. So we put it for later. And then we are not feeling the inspiration that we were originally feeling at the moment when we were feeling inspired to take that action.
Mm,
Now we are trying to do it at a certain time. So, but all that inside feelings and everything, that's not aligned. So you're not
mm,
congruent. So then you procrastinate and end up not doing those things. So, like you said, action, like really inspired action,
mm,
especially when you are connected to that original impetus, taking action in that moment, whether however small of an action it is, maybe it can be a very small step towards that direction. But however small it is, as soon as you commit and take an action, now all the forces in universe can come together and
mm.
all sort of possibilities and opportunities can open up for you. Yeah,
Yeah,
that is
so true.
exactly.
Absolutely so true. It has to be aligned. I see a lot of this in the coaching space, a lot of hustling and pushing and people creating resistance around setting really big goals. I don't know what it's like I mean, I deal with mainly and work with mainly females, but I see a lot of like kind of injured masculine energy within the coaching industry where people are hustling and pushing and not taking aligned action and trying to do it someone else's way with their strategy. And I just think if you haven't got your heart 100% in it, it's never going to work for you. It's just not. Give it up.
I
Find something
know,
you love, right?
I know, I know. You have to. It has to be beyond the goals. It has to be
Mm,
beyond the goals because goals are always going to be external world oriented, like the
mm,
goals that we make. And the point is to just really dive under and really connect to that abstract feeling or that value that you're really looking for as a payoff from the reaching of those goals. So that's
mm,
what you really want to discover. Once you have a grip on that, once you know, oh, it's freedom that I'm really looking for from having this goal
mm,
achieved. So once you have that, now it frees you in a variety of ways. You can realize that freedom in your life because that's what you really want, that freedom. And once you know that, now you're not stuck with it because otherwise you're thinking, oh, this is what I want. But that's not what you really want. What you really want
mm,
is something abstract, something that is
mm,
not really outside. So once you connect to that, now you can go out into the world and there's so many, you can ask yourself, orient yourself by asking this question, like, is this taking me more to my freedom or away from it?
mm,
You can ask literally questions that orient yourself. Okay, what do I want to do that makes me feel even more freedom? You know,
mm,
wake up and ask questions that is aligned with their real values, you know?
mm. I love that point because that's what I always say. It's about the feeling of what you get on the journey, right? If you know this
Yeah,
work is working for you, you'll be seeing it with your eyes and you'll be feeling it. And it's about being really honest about those feelings as well. I don't think many people are that honest and say, is this for me because it feels good? Or is this not for me because it doesn't feel good? And I think people really need to anchor into their feelings. But a lot of beings have been very, very wounded. And so a lot of beings can't even feel that for
mm,
themselves what that feels right? Which is why and my team said when you were talking about freedom, they said there's also this notion around safety. People want more money or bigger houses, or whatever those external goals, because they want that safety, because they're not feeling it inside, right? Because their inner child never had that
Exactly.
safety. And it's like, well, you're never going to get to a point where you get that safety if you're always wanting more and more and more. You have to accept where you are now and then be thankful for everything else, because everything else is just the cherry on the top, right? And that where you are now is the groundedness. It's the knowing, it's the present moment.
Yeah, also about the safety, it's like, if safety is coming from the circumstance, from the outside, then it's not really anything that you get to really solidly have.
Mm,
You get to have safety coming in two different ways. You get to either have it coming from the outside, let the outside world give you that feeling of, oh, I'm safe, or you get to have that feeling of safety because you believe in your own competence in handling whatever comes up.
mm,
So it's not because of whatever is going on outside. It has nothing to do with outside. Whatever happens outside, you have a strong certainty in your own competence and capability
mm,
and resourcefulness in
mm,
handling and creating good results with whatsoever that comes up or emerge,
mm,
whatsoever life situation is. So you have that safety, but it's coming from within, you
mm,
know. So you're asking the question, what is it that I can do to make myself feel more safe?
mm,
You know? So rather than, oh, am I safe? Am I safe? Because that am I safe makes it feel like the safety is outside.
mm,
So if you're asking, what is it that I can do to make me feel more safe? So that's about you being in your power,
mm,
asking yourself, okay, what is it that I can do to make myself feel more safe? So
mm,
it's you being in your power, making yourself feel more safe rather than the other way around. So
mm.
it's,
That's
yeah,
so
it's
true.
always like, yeah,
It's so true. Yeah, I talk about trust a lot as well, because trust is everything, right? Trust in yourself. And I always say, like, I have trust in my team, who I refer to as, my cosmic guides and spirit or whatnot. But the person and the entity and the being that I trust the most in the world is myself, because I know that whatever I've been through, I've survived through it and I've become a better person, a more expansive being. So you've only ever got to trust yourself implicitly, because everyone else is just around you doing their own thing, right? And if you can trust yourself in every decision and everything that you do and everything you experience, and everything else is just like, I don't know, it's like a simulation around you, isn't it? It's kind of just
I
reacting
know.
to you.
I know it is highly likely that we are in a simulation. Like you said, the Elon Musk himself was telling that, the chances of we being in a baseline reality is 1 in a billion. Yeah. So it's highly likely that we are not in baseline reality means.
Mm,
It
yeah.
is, it is, yeah, it is, because we do have like the smallest sort of exact sort of replica for a pixel to a 2D world, for a 2D dimension. We do have the same sort of equivalent for our 3D world. So it is like pixelated. And if you really look at our body, our body cell is vibrating at a zero point 0.7 volt electricity. So we have an electric
Mm,
body. And just the looking at everything, it doesn't feel so natural. Looking
mm,
like a very highly intelligent, constructive work, you know, with
mm,
precision to detail, and self-organizing itself. Like, the babies self-organize themselves coming out. Like, you have to consider the intelligence going to that, you
mm.
know.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. The birthing process is certainly very empowering for everybody involved, and it fascinates me. Absolutely
exactly.
fascinates me.
Fascinating, right?
Mm.
fascinates you because you know you're not, yeah, you are participating in some way, but you're not doing anything at the same time, but everything gets done.
Mm. You're just holding space for this baby to do
Yeah,
whatever it needs to do for the moment,
yeah,
and try to stay connected, but not. It's yeah, it's quite interesting how
yeah,
birthing process mirrors real life, really. Well, I say real
yeah,
life, but I see this kind of
yeah,
like 3D reality as like a game with different layers, and different levels. Not saying there's a
yeah.
hierarchy in spirituality or in life, but I always see it as you need to
I do
master.
feel the, I do feel the game effect of it when I am like on Changa or something like that. I can feel the game effect of it, a cosmic game of it. You know?
Mm,
Oh, it really just as if like the whale is gone, you can see really like how extreme the game can get.
yeah, exactly. But
Yeah,
it's so fun, right? This game that we get to partake in. I think
I know.
humans I think humans sometimes take things a little bit too seriously here on Earth, and
And
we.
also there is at this point of time there is safe plant entheogens that we can work with that can give us a different, fresh perspective on things, you know.
Mm,
And because things that are non-addictive and just non-toxic in nature and promote a lot of neurogenesis and neuroplasticity within our brain also at the same time. So there's a lot of therapeutic value on top of it.
mm,
So everyone should, I would feel like, to have a real perspective shift for some people, because the mind, the brain, we can get rigid in a very sort of stuck way, you know. And that's what these plant medicines and entheogens, they're really good at. They just shake things up, like really shake it up, you know. It's not so all the networks, all the kind of walls that keeps all the networks separate and everything, all those walls come down and all of a sudden there's way too much information getting passed around between all these networks in the brain, and the brain start to generate a world that is way more dynamic and complex and flexible and
mm.
yeah.
It's so fun though. I love it here. I do love it here. After being here for quite a while, I do love it here now. um,
Why not?
so where can people find you, Sunil, if they want to find out more about what you do and be in your energy? Where's the best place to kind of stalk you if they
um
like?
yeah, so people who are really interested to learn more about this spiritual logic, this methodology I was speaking about, they can go to the website, masterclass.spiritualogic.com, and put in their email and can watch an 1.5 hour uh, masterclass on this methodology. And also, they are free to go and check out the website www.spiritualogic.com, so can read more about how the origin of this methodology and how the different elements of it go, and the case studies of people who have worked with this, who have been struggling with their life, with different kind of challenges. Mm. So yeah, and also anyone interested to connect and keep in touch on social medias, my handle is wisdom with Sanal. So wisdom with and my name Sanal, Sanal. So
Yeah,
that's my,
beautiful. Thank you so much for being here and also sharing your view with me before. It looked amazing. So I'm going to thank our listeners and our watchers and our readers for tuning in today. And so now what we'll do is we'll circulate your links and whatever bio you want us to circulate in the podcast and on our socials so people can find you. And what I'll do is I'll stop the recording and then we'll have a little chat. Okay. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your energy and your space and your time with us.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. It was a beautiful co-creation. I felt like, the topics just flew into so many different areas.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.